So I'm going to say good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock. We're not going to start just yet. I'm assuming you can all hear me. Just do a hands up or a wave or a say hi or, okay, I can. Thank you.
Yes, I hear you.
Steve, good to see you.
Yes, I've got you.
Thanks, William. Is it Bill or William? Hey, Jesse, text me. How many people are usually on this class? I want to make sure we get critical mass.
Sorry, what was the question?
How many people are usually on this class, in these classes that you've been taking?
This is my second one. I've been with Keller Williams just about a month now.
Okay.
I think yesterday we had maybe 15-ish in the class.
Okay. When we get to about 10, we'll start.
Okay.
Right now it's 6-ish. For the second, there's two classes in, so there's 2 chapters. For the second one, we're going to be going over scripts. So I just want to make sure everybody has those. We'll take a break between the 2 to make sure you guys download them or print them up or whatever you need to do. Do you know where to find those in the book?
No, I don't. I actually don't have a book either.
Okay.
Is it somewhere I can find on the website or?
I don't know if Jesse, you still there? It's page 138 through 154 are the scripts. Can you download those? For the second class, Jess, can you download those and make them a link? Jesse's having audio problems. Good. So just so you know, I'll be on a video. I just had my second COVID vaccine about 15 minutes ago. So if I'm a science experiment going bad, you'll be watching that.
That should be fun.
Yeah.
I've had both of mine, and actually the second one turned out not to be as bad as the first for me, although everyone told me the other way around.
Good. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, so.
And you had Pfizer or Moderna?
Moderna.
Okay.
Same. I had Moderna and I was fine both times.
Well, I've had Pfizer. I think I'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Okay, thank you. I love that.
You're welcome. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
Okay. We got 2 people waiting in the waiting room. Let's get them in. Admit all. Where am I starting here? Servicing marketing. So So be thinking about it as we start. I'm going to ask you a couple questions at the very beginning, and everybody's going to share. So just basically, who are you? How many years have you been in? If you've had listings, how many? And then the other two questions, and this is just kind of helpful. How many people in your database, and how many people do you know in the world?
Okay. Now,
We're going to start as soon as we're going to start momentarily.
got it. Am I the only one that's going to say hi?
You're the only one starting. You're going to be my first because you're up at my upper left corner. And is it Jenna or Gina?
It's Gina.
Awesome.
Thanks for asking.
Of course.
It gets trashed every day.
I don't want to trash it.
I'm used to it. I'm so used to it. I don't take it personally anymore. And what bugs me is when people in the professional world, they spell my name wrong after I've sent them the right spelling. It makes it seem like they aren't paying attention. So people like that do not get my attention because they don't pay attention. If that makes sense.
Unless they're a seller, then you might want to give them.
No, these are people I know.
Okay.
They know how to
Fair
spell
enough.
my name.
All right, so we've got 9. We've got 9. It's currently 5 or 6 after. Let's start because I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste mine. So Gina, we're gonna start with you. Who are you? How many years in the business?
Oh my gosh. So my name is Gina and no years. I actually just got my license in February, end of February. And 2 days later, I went skiing and tore my ACL. So I am rehabbing right now with my leg. I'm able to walk now with a crutch and all that fun stuff. So things are okay. So I'm just literally just nose buried and learning. I'm with
Good.
KW Santa Cruz and I love it. And I already started some stuff and just kind of chill before I can get out there and hit the
All
pavement.
right. So then the other two questions, how many people in your database and how many people do you know in the world?
Okay, so because I'm involved in Bold right now, and so
Okay.
I have 125 in my database as of last week. I just started that. And how many people in the world? God, I probably know thousands of people in the world.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
own
that's
a
the critical
business
thing.
for a long time.
That's the critical thing between Facebook and Google and family. It's
Millions.
thousands. And so the opportunity for you is huge.
Absolutely.
Steve, same questions.
Yeah, my wife and I just got our licenses in February also. So we're new with Keller Williams. I could turn my video on so you could actually see me there.
There you are.
Yeah, so we have probably somewhere close to 60 in our database.
Okay.
But we did just send out a card. We farmed our neighborhood because you could see from my picture, we have that big white dog. So we walk around the neighborhood a couple times a day. And I've already had people from this morning's walk say, oh, we recognize you from the card. So I'm sure our database is going to grow a little quicker now.
Well, it should. But then how many people you've been on the planet for a while? How many people do you think you know in the world?
Oh God, I don't know. More than I could count.
Thousands, for sure.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. And we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Elsie Saba.
Okay.
There you are.
I've been with Keller Williams since October. That's
Okay.
when I got licensed, and I still didn't have any listing or any sale whatsoever.
No problem.
I live in San Jose, California, and I have 169 in my database on command. And yeah, most family and friends are from all around the world. So I don't have too many people that I know here, but my little church that I go to and few friends, but the rest of them are from around the world.
That's okay. They still buy real estate around the world, I believe.
What's that?
They still buy real estate around the world.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
And you eventually will know people around the world in real estate. So this is good. Denise, Brazil de Castro. You're muted. Take off mute.
Hi,
There
good
you go.
afternoon. I'm great. How are
Denise?
you?
Good. So you are Denise, and how long you been with KW, or how long you been in the business?
2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
how many listings have you had so far?
None. None.
Not yet. That's okay.
No, I'm
We'll get
learning.
there.
I'm learning. I'm retired from education, so
Oh.
my focus on learning is I need to learn in sequence.
I understand.
I can't just jump in. I mean, all this stuff is coming at me all at once, and I need to learn in sequence, and then I'll jump in with listings.
And how
But
many people do you are in your database and or in your world?
well, right now I only have 50 added. I'm still adding, but yeah, I feel that I need to get a little more background knowledge because I don't want to say I don't know. I'll get back to you with the first question they ask me about real estate. I want to come across as competent and confident. So I want to have more more of a foundation so I can answer their questions right off the bat.
Just FYI, I've been in the business for 21 years and I still say I don't know and I'll get back to you.
Well,
It is
no, I
one of the things.
understand that. I understand that. But I feel that I need to have a little bit of a foundation so I can carry on a conversation.
Completely understood. I get it.
Yeah.
Who's next? Linda.
Hello.
Hi, Linda. So the questions, who are you? How long you been in real estate? How many people are in your database and how many people in your world?
There's probably about 50 people in my world, in my sphere of influence, and most of my business comes from that. I've been in business for 12 years, and I just came over from Coldwell Banker. Today is my second day.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm a Coldwell Banker transplant as well.
Oh, I was lucky enough to be able to bring over my my website and my CRM, which has close to 500 contacts in there.
Sweet. How many people do you think you know in the world?
Like I said, my sphere of influence is about 50 people.
50, but I know, but your world is much bigger. It should be thousands, eh?
I don't know. I'm kind of a shy person. And so my business usually comes from repeat clients or friends of clients.
Okay.
So I know people who are very social.
There you go. It's about connectors. You know, if you have good connectors, you're going to be doing well.
Yeah.
Viviana, tell me about you.
Oh, hi. Hi. I've been with Keller Williams for about 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
My database, I have about 2,000 people in my database.
Nice.
I've been in business on and off for since 2006. 15.
And how many listings have you had in those 6 years?
How many listings I had?
Yep.
Probably 20, 21.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So
I just closed one. I just, yes.
So you can teach this class.
No. I have so much to learn. No.
No problem. We'll see if I can give you something to learn. Is it Edeline? Edeline.
Hello, yeah, it's Edeline.
Edeline, great.
I got licensed late February and I signed with Keller Williams San Jose Gateway April 9th. So I've been in the business for about like a month and some change now. So I have no listings so far. I'm not working with any buyers at the moment either. I have about, I would say like 20 people in my database. So I need to work on that. And I would say I know about probably like 1,000 people.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so your challenge is to get out and get those, as many of those thousands into your 20s, so you have that number up. Yeah. William, you're last but not least, certainly.
Hi, William. I'm with Santa Cruz, Keller Williams. I joined, I guess, just about a month ago. I've actually had my license for 2 years now, and I'm kind of on that extension period, but that the DRE has granted renewals. So I do need to get my education done and that renewed. I guess I have around 20 in my database so far. Maybe 1,000. It's funny. I kind of have to, I feel, erode some walls around, when I think about who I know. Every day, somebody will pop into my mind that I kind of forgot about, or one thing or another. So, a lot of people.
Are you on Facebook?
And yeah, so that's the problem for me. I'm feeling in this whole scenario is no, I'm not on Facebook, and I actually not on social media at all. And like someone else mentioned, I'm a rather private person in general. So in terms of social media, no, I have no presence, and I really kind of am starting from, the bottom. Really gonna build a foundation here for the first time with regards to that.
Well, it's a great place to start. I mean, go ahead, Denise.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about it.
Good, Denise.
Just to respond to what William is saying, I have never been on any social media at all, because if I need to socialize or contact with somebody, I do it directly, because I have a very large sphere of influence, being in education, having a large family. I was born and raised in this community. But anyway, I just joined Facebook.
Oh, wow, you're a new one. Okay.
Yesterday I started friending a bazillion
You're the newest Facebook member. Good for you.
Yeah, and I've gotten a lot of responses. So my advice to William is just start on Facebook. And if you have friends that are Facebook people, just ask them. They know how to navigate. I had to call my sister, and she explained to me how you navigate and how you. I posted a listing that I'm working with Renee on there, and my sister said, you can't see it. There's nothing to see. And I said, it's there. But anyway, talk to somebody who knows how to navigate Facebook so they can guide you, and then you'll get started on building your social network there.
If you wait a couple of weeks, you could ask Denise how to do that. So the reason I said those two questions, first of all, is I went to a seminar once, and Gary Keller was interviewing a guy who, I want to say his community was about 10,000, and he would close 150 units a year in a community of 10,000, and he did everything by referral. And his quote, and this is why I'm saying it to you, he said to Gary, every single person I've ever met, currently know, or will ever meet, will probably buy or sell a house someday. And based on the data, not with the agent they're using. So the opportunity for us, that's why I asked you how many people you know in your world. Most of those are going to buy a house someday, and probably not with the agent they're currently using. And obviously, like Elsie, you know people all over the world. They're going to do it. You can be the referral agent. You can help them. I mean, one of my conversations I have with the people all the time is, have you ever thought about buying out of state or out of country? And they said, yes, absolutely. I said, well, here's what I'll do for you. Let me know where and kind of what you're thinking about. I'll find you the number one agent in that market. That way you don't have to waste a lot of time. And so I get to be that conduit, but it allows a different conversation for people who do not live here. For people that do live here, so it's just a matter of, right now, Denise, they think of you as a teacher, as a mom, as a wife, as a community member. They do not think of you as a realtor. And so we got to slowly figure out how to change that perception of because right now we all wear many hats. And right now the realtor hat is not the one that they see for most of us. So how do we get that? One of it is a social media presence. One is reminding people. I think, Adeline, you talked about you have 1,000 people, and I think there's 20 people in your database. Slowly kind of going, if you're using social media, going into instant messenger on Facebook and said, you crossed my heart, my mind. I don't have your email address or your phone number. Can you? And that's on instant messenger. You pop up with that green little dot. They're online. You're online. You can start ticking away at that 20 to get to 30 to get to 100 fairly quickly. Same thing with your Gmail contacts or whatever database you have where you have your Christmas cards or whatever. it's starting ticking, and it's not doing it all at one time. It's not being overwhelmed. It's just taking 5-10 minutes a day of adding a few people to our database, people we already know. That's when you take a lot of these classes, they said you should add 5 contacts a day. Well, that's overwhelming because I don't know how to meet 5 people, especially in COVID. Well, I'm telling you, we already know them. We just have to figure out how to get them into our database. Does that make sense a little bit? Okay, so today we're talking about how to win with sellers. It's in 2 chapters. The first one's all about pre-listing. The second one is about the listing appointment. And I'm going to ask you to go to the chat. I'm going to basically pause for 3 minutes. Go to the chat box and download the Win with Sellers student manual, because we're going to be using pages 134 through 137 through 154 in the second chapter. So download that right now for me. I'm going to give you another 30 seconds. If you don't, I'm going to give you time later to do it as well. Ellen, you gave me a thumbs up. Does that mean you have it? Okay, good. By the way, if you haven't thanked Jesse already, go to the chat box. He's Elaine Della Santina today because she's not here. So thank Jesse for all his backward work, back of the house work. All right, so now I'm going to tell you another.
I just real quick, if I could,
ahead,
it's not in my chat box. I'm on my mobile app. I don't know if that makes a difference. I know Elaine did mention that it's in there, but I'm looking through the chat and it's not in there. Oh, she says she'll email it to me. Okay. I will get it soon.
Got it.
Thank you.
So now, this first part of the chapter is about a pre-listing. What are we going to do with a pre-listing packet? And this assumes that you have an appointment. Now I'm going to tell you my second favorite quote that I heard at a Keller Williams seminar, family reunion. Gene Rivers, he's a major player. He's a great teacher. He's on the back east, and he was teaching class. And he goes, "How do you know if you had a good day in real estate?" And it's about 700 people in the class, and people are all saying different things. He said, "Did you close a deal today? If you didn't close a deal, you didn't have a good day. So if you didn't close a deal, how do you know if you had a good day?" And no, but now everybody's afraid to respond. He says, "Did you write a contract? If you didn't close a deal, you didn't write a contract, you had a terrible day. Well, if you didn't do those things, how do you know if you had a good day? Did you have an appointment today?" And then he said, "If you didn't have an appointment and you didn't write a contract, if you didn't close a deal, how do you know if you had a good day? Did you schedule an appointment?" This is what, this basically, our whole job is to get in front of somebody to talk about hopefully real estate. And my things, I never want to disappoint anybody else, and I don't want to disappoint myself. So I just want to have an appointment to talk to people. Eventually real estate will come around. But his whole thing is like literally go to your phone or wherever you're keeping your schedule and start filling in blanks of, hey, coffee appointment, drink appointment, breakfast appointment throughout the week, and call people and fill those appointments up. Now you get in the habit. They're not going to be listing appointments right away. They won't even be buyer's appointments, but you're getting the habit of having these one-on-one conversations, which lead to maybe they're thinking about buying or selling. Maybe they have a family member that's buying or selling. Maybe they have a friend who's buying or selling. They have a neighbor, but that conversation won't happen unless we're having a deep conversation about everything else. How's your life? How's your family? How's your kids? Eventually, they're going to ask you and say, well, real estate, the market is incredibly tight right now. We're just looking for anybody that's thinking of selling. Do you know? And then you get to turn that question around. But you got to give to them but you have to have that appointment, which is for some of us might be uncomfortable, but you've got to get out of your comfort zone and have that one-on-one, face-to-face appointment. And the way to do that is put it in your calendar and then start calling people and say, hey, can you meet you crossed my heart and my mind today. I'd love to meet you for a cup of coffee. When are you available? I mean, I hate to say it, it's that easy, but once you get to that point, you're now having real conversations. I don't expect you to have high-end real estate conversations right away, but the more you have, the more you'll get, the more you'll receive. Does Does that make a little bit of sense? So now we've had this appointment and we've scheduled the appointment. And in this case, we have to assume it's a listing appointment and we're going to send them a pre-listing packet. So I'm assuming many of us haven't done it. Have we ever received or do we ever even thought about what would go in a pre-listing packet? This is an open conversation for everybody.
Kind of like the steps of
Yes.
the steps of, you know, what they could expect, you know.
And by the way, is it okay if I don't do the PowerPoint? We just kind of go through this way? Because I feel like the PowerPoint's
Sure,
distracting.
yeah.
Okay. Because that way I'd much rather look at your faces and see if I lose you or not look at the PowerPoint and all that other stuff. If you go to page, for those that have the book, page 46, it's basically what I have in mind. I'm going to show you my pre-listing packet. Actually, I'm going to show you my listing agreement momentarily. But in my packet, it's meeting the team. It's talking about me. It's a listing checklist. It's a customized marketing plan. It's why us, and it's testimonials. And I'll just show, I'm going to share it with you right now. Share. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay, let's see.
Is this your pre-listing packet or the listing presentation? Because there's
For me, it's both.
okay.
I send it to them and I assume they're going to read it, and then I go through it with them when I meet with them.
Okay.
So let's see if I can get this. No.
Control minus minus minus.
Control minus minus minus.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you want to
That's
make it
actually one
bigger,
of my-
control plus plus plus.
All right, and then how do I get to the next page?
I'm sorry, did you say 48?
Pardon?
You're starting there on page 48, is that correct?
Oh, we're 46 right now. What is in the pre-listing package? So we're
Okay.
going to go over mine right now.
Sure.
And we're going to, so that's first page. Where's my next page?
You can do, let's see in your computer.
There's my second page. I can just go page by page. Meet the team. Let's go. Talks a little about me, what I have in mind, but what I would encourage you to do if you ever do something like this. This is
Yes, they have my
pardon?
Michael Lewis presentation, marketing suite.
I think this may have come from it. I put this together a while ago and I don't remember where we got it from. But this is my team, which we're going to talk about. You have a team, believe it or not, even though most of you are solo agents. You could put somebody from the market center as your marketing person. You've got somebody, you probably an escrow coordinator to put in there. So most people come in as an individual. I'm telling you, because of Keller Williams, you have a team. So you actually put a little biography of your marketing person from Santa Cruz Keller Williams or Santa Cruz Campbell or whatever office you're in, and start building a team around you. And then you look like, oh my God, yeah, I've got my escrow coordinator, I've got a marketing person. They don't know that they don't work for you full time, but it shows across much more impressively. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually this girl right here, transaction coordinator. She actually works for many people, but I had her write it up as if she works for me. And she says Team Beasley and all the communications that we do, even though she works for many, but the people that see her think she just works for me. Oh wow, how did that happen? So this is the process. This is the checklist that we have. Initial meeting, walkthrough, needs analysis, sign listing agreement. Just walks them through and make it. You know, if you don't have a logo, then just put your name at the bottom with the Keller Williams logo, and it looks like yours. And I can actually send this to you later if you want. And I'd also encourage you to start collecting listing packets and or pre-listing packets from people in your office. And just so you can start seeing what other people are doing. When I have my listing presentation, this is one of my most critical slides. And this is from NAR. where do buyer, and this is what I send in my pre-listing packet, I talk about it when I meet with them. I said, where do buyers find their homes? And it's going to say 70%, 65% find it on the internet. We know 95% of all buyers are on the internet, probably 100%. Then there's about 40% that you are actually 35% that use a real estate agent to help them find their home. And then it's all down here. Like, okay, so home, books, or magazines, there's like 1%, advertisements, print. All of this is, you can address it, but in your marketing, you're not going to really focus a lot of time. You're going to say, okay, how can I really expand my presence on the internet as well as to other agents? I have to market, I have to sell the house twice. I have to sell it to house to an agent so they love it, so that they can tell their sphere, and I have to sell it on the internet. So this is just more of what we've done over time. It's fairly impressive. Not everybody sends out a pre-listing packet. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can go to other things here in a second. But I'll send that to Jesse, and he can send it off to all of you. But the purpose of the pre-listing packet is basically to set yourself apart from everybody else. And you're going to send that pre-listing packet probably 2 or 3 days before you meet. And what they have a couple really, really cool things that are included. And this is on page 48. Actually, 40. Where is it? Oh, look, if you look at, jump up to page 50 if you have it. You can get somebody in your office to go drop it off. And does anybody have page 50 in front of them? I'm going to ask you to read.
Yeah.
Okay, Viviana, go down to train your deliverer to use the script right in the middle. What does that say?
In the what do you want to? Okay, delivery of your pre-listing package is very important. Is this what
on
you
page 50? On page 50.
50. Yeah. If you promise a time, you must have it there on time and securely in the session. All high production listing agents adamantly agree that speedy and secure delivery shows you are professional and efficient. You have the ability to act quickly when needed. You have systems to ensure the processes will run successfully.
Okay, stop there. When I used to teach this class 3 years ago, one of the things that they said is drop it off, go to the post office, pick up some FedEx envelopes, put your pre-listing packet there, drop it off in their front door. They think you just spent $25 to overnight it to their front door. They don't know that there wasn't a receipt there. That's what I used to hear. What I'm seeing now, and I'm asking, is Adeline, you're on this also?
Yes.
So go to where it says train your deliverer to use a script like, and it's right in the middle.
I'm sorry, I don't know. Page 50, you said, right?
Page 50.
Oh,
It's
train.
just hello. Hello.
Okay. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. I'm Adeline with Keller Williams. Here's some information for your upcoming appointment with agent. You're going to love working with Adeline. Everyone does.
How powerful would that be if you had somebody from your office drop this off and say, I'm gonna have somebody drop something off for you at 2 o'clock. Are you gonna be there? They said yes. You get somebody from your agent there, from your office, and they talk about, I'm dropping this off on behalf of Adeline. She's an amazing agent. Everybody loves her. You're gonna love her just as well. That's a pretty powerful statement. True?
Yeah.
The next one is if they're not there, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. My name is Ben with Santa Cruz Keller Williams. I want you to know that I left some information on your doorstep for your upcoming appointment with Adeline. You're gonna love working with Adeline. Everybody does. So that's a voicemail message. It's just ways of setting yourself apart from other agents. That's what we're constantly trying to do is, what do we do a little bit more that other agents don't? So in this case, we're either going to drop it off in a FedEx packet, or we're going to have our kid or our family member or an agent in our office, somebody in this class, call me, I'll go do it. And you'll drop it off and say, hey, I'm dropping this off on behalf of Elsie. She's an amazing agent. Everybody loves her. You're going to love working with her. And here's a packet for her. So it's just something really, really cool, a little way to differentiate ourselves. Let's see.
And something I do in my pre-listing package, in the last page is blank. So, and I put questions for me when we meet on this date. So I want them to write down all the questions they have.
Yep.
That
Yes, I
helps
love it.
me. I have topic of conversation with them, and they think about it because they are going to read a lot of things in the package. I'm sure they will have questions. So you want them to have questions.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do one more screen share because we talked about, if you were in this class last time or the time before, they probably talked about your value proposition or your selling proposition. Has that ever been brought up to you guys before? Let me just show, I'll show you what I have. And it doesn't mean you have to use it, but it just gives you an example of what it could be. We're going to go back to, I think it's 2. And we got to go bigger. This is control plus, plus, plus. So my value proposition, if you look at it, it starts out less time. My marketing firepower and exclusive tech tools will maximize your property exposure to active buyers who want to know more about your home. I'll put my experience to work with navigating the complexities of the real estate transaction, making it a seamless experience for you. And then control minus. By attracting the maximum number of interested buyers, your property will sell for the highest marketable price possible. So that's my value sales proposition that I have right on the page 1 of my listing presentation and or pre-listing presentation. Stop screen sharing. So does anybody here have their value proposition that you worked on before that you feel comfortable sharing, I should say?
I have to look for mine. Well, basically what I say is this is all about you, not about how much money you get, how much. It's about you, what you need, what your expectations are, about your life, where you are moving, what is going to happen after you sell your home. This is about your life and your family. And I am here to help you in this transition you're going to have selling your home. I'm going to hold your hand and make it as smooth as possible and simple. So I will take care of everything for you. You don't have to worry about anything. I'm here for you.
So that's great. It's very wordy. So we got to make it a little tighter, but that's good. Is that written down or is that just up here?
No, just out of my head. Yeah, I have
Okay.
to. Yeah,
So we need to get it.
it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to share or talk about their value proposition or their selling proposition? Yes, Jeannie.
I don't really have one, but just I've been from learning everything. What I'm learning is you don't want to discount yourself when it comes to commissions and discount. I think you should be firm with how you value yourself, and basically tell somebody that you're not going to give them discounted service, so I'm not going to discount my commission. Basically, is what my value is going to be, that they're going to get 100% of me, to help them buy or sell their home. So,
and that's awesome. That's exactly right. You don't want to, and you shouldn't. What I always say when they talk about commission, we're not. Sometimes it's actually in the book, but I don't bring that up until a listing presentation. Mm-hmm. But I always say, do you charge commission? What do you charge for commission? I said,
always.
Well, there's 2 sides, and I'm on the list side, so I charge 3% on my side because I do all the work, and I suggest maybe you go minimum 2.5% for the buy side, but they don't do near as much work as I do. And if you cancel, I'm not coming back to you for marketing costs or staging costs or anything else. So I think you should let's give you a break on the buy side, but I deserve 3% on my side, and you'll see why as I go through my presentation. They talked about we're going back to page 47, and I don't put in the pre-listing packet, I generally don't put pricing recommendations, but I do put biographical information, so realist or whatever the property profile is, so they can see what the county record sees as square footage, as beds, baths, as the features of the house, how long, who the house title is in, because we want to see that. So I definitely put that in. I usually put a Zillow screenshot. I know Zillow is the evil doer out there, but we have to know that they're looking at it. So we have to be able to address it. So I don't want to hide from it. So I put a Zillow screenshot so I know what they're seeing, because they've actually probably seen that. And then I can at least address that when we meet. But it's not to say that that's the value, but at least I know this is what you're looking at, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller. Let me tell you why or why not that might not be. And then if I was to do a little bit more, I might do just a general quick CMA, just to put in that pre-listing packet. So you've got the property profile, you have the Zillow screenshot, and you have a quick CMA based on that square footage, based on that neighborhood. Doesn't mean I'm going to tell them what the property's worth. It just gives them background, more information than they probably would have had previously. It also tells me I'm not avoiding price. I'm not hiding it. We can talk about it later. So I usually put that in my pre-listing packet. And then the other thing is they ask, what are the things that we can put in our pre-listing packet that sets us apart? And they put in here, they said personalized tote bag, coffee shop, gift card, snacks, goodies, stuff like that. I generally, I haven't done it a lot, but what I would do is put a gift certificate for a handyman that I will give you for $100. I'll give you 2 hours of a handyman if you list with me to take care of any safety or health related issues in your house. And it's something that's tries to set me apart, and if you want, you can I'll clean your house for free or things like that. But those are some things that I try to just do to set myself a little bit apart.
May I ask? I heard that the listing agents nowadays, they also included in that 3% that they get as their share is staging, cleaning, and all the advertisement that they spend on. So all that is included in that 3% that they are paying you. Do you make sure that they understand that you mentioned that as this is part of that commission that you're paying?
100%. I always say, my 3% will cover limited staging, will cover all marketing fees, will cover all anything that has to do with getting your house ready for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mrs. Seller, you're responsible for getting the house as far as physically ready for sale, meaning if there's any inspections that need to be done, if we're going to paint, if we're any of that, that's on you, Mr. Seller. And we're going to talk about that. And again, that gets into our listing when we're actually meeting for the listing. This is not the pre-listing, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
What I cover. But historically, it's always, Mr. Seller, you're responsible to passing on a safe house, not a new house, but a safe house. And we'll also talk about, let's remove any objections that show up when we walk through the house. If there's dry rot, or if there's, a light, a lights fixture or whatever, where people say, what's going on there? We want to remove those objections. We're not hiding things. We're just removing the objections. So we'll do that when we do our walkthrough. And I encourage the sellers to take care of those things.
So
now, maybe it could say that they'll do nothing, but at least I encourage them to do that.
In the case that the seller is still living in the house, how do you deal with that? The staging, the cleaning, all those things, they will need to be repeated so many times every time you have a showing.
So I usually bring in a stager to talk about minimalizing whatever's in the house. So we've done that where, okay, so we really like this. Can you put this in the garage because this doesn't help you sell your house? Can I throw in some fresh towels or something to brighten up the house during the process? I still want yours. I always recognize the fact you're still living in the house. I want you to be comfortable. Your kids are here, but let's just remove minimal objections. Don't take down all your pictures, but don't have them all up. And it's usually a compromise, just for showing. But that's usually and I try to get a third person to do that, so I'm not the bad guy.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So from a pre-listing, as I said, that chapter is really short. There's really nothing else to talk about. It's all about, okay, so what am I going to give them? So and I start collecting pre-listing packets or listing packets. And then oftentimes what you can do is incorporate the listing agreement And who was it? I think it was Viviana or whatever said, you know, I want them to ask me questions. Submit the listing agreement filled out. Do not put the price in, do not put the commission in, but have everything else filled out and have them go, not the disclosures, but just, and have them mark up any questions they have in the listing agreement so that they know that we're ready. And you'll bring a clean copy with you to the appointment in case they're ready to list, but at least you'll address any questions that they have at that moment. So my pre-listing packet will include marketing for me, will include a little bit of pricing that we talked about, including the property profile, and will include the listing agreement. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And that goes out 3 to 5 days before we're going to meet with them. So we've got a call, or we know somebody, or you know, we're interviewing 2 or 3 agents. Fantastic. When would be a good time for me to drop off my pre-listing packet? You know, 5 o'clock on when either you or drop it off. If you want to mail it, you can, or email it, you can. I'm just saying it stands out a little bit more if you have it printed up and have it dropped off, either physically or have somebody else do it. And those components will be there. Make sure you check the next day or the day after. Did you get my pre-listing packet? Do you have any questions? We're still set for meeting you tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Fantastic. But that's part of that process. Now, that being said, I'm going to tell you 60% of the agents don't do that. It's just people that take this class and have stepped up their game a little bit. Most listing agents that do that primarily do that pre-listing packet. Since most of you are new, I'll tell you one of the things. If you've seen the MREA book, it's leads, listings, and leverage. Listings, the reason we like listings more than buyers is they generate more business. What happens is you've got your sign up, people in the neighborhood see that William Cook is selling a house. They don't know William Cook, but they know his name. They see his house, they see his listing. So now more people know about him. They may be, depending on how well you do and the marketing that you do, you may get another listing. You may get a buyer. My goal with every listing, and it's not, I don't reach it all the time, but my goal is to get 2 buyers and another listing with every listing. That's why you want listings. A buyer, you're only going to get 1. You're not going to be able to duplicate that. But with a listing, because you've got other people calling you, you've got neighbors that are looking at it, you've got possibly a buyer that needs to sell, you very well likely could get another listing. And that's the mindset you want to have going into it, is how do I leverage this listing to get more business?
Mm.
If you go with that,
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Viviana.
When you do the listing presentation, do you bring the seller fee sheet? How much? The seller fee sheet in which you have how much you're going to sell the house for, minus the commission, minus all the expenses.
Yep, I bring an estimated seller's statement based on different price points.
Inspections, yeah.
Yep.
Everything.
But I put in 3 different price points. I put in a low, a medium, and a high.
Oh, nice. Good.
Yep. And the other script that I always use, and especially in this market, you know, Mr. Seller, unless an agent is going to buy your house from you, they can't tell you what the house is worth. It's an opinion. You're hiring me to market and negotiate on your behalf. I can't tell you I can tell you what the range is. I can tell you what the trends are. I can tell you what price per square foot is going on in your neighborhood, but I'm going to let you pick the price. I'll tell you, and I'll market it for you, because I'm not going to lose a listing, because I know I'm going to get some leverage out of it. And once you're in, they're not going to want to, you know, they want to sell it. As long as we keep them focused on why they're selling, or where they're moving to. Okay, if you want to be in Monterey by June, we need to get it on the market today. We need to price it appropriately. So those are the conversations I have, but you're hiring me to market, negotiate. I can't tell you what it's going to sell for. I don't know. I can't tell you what's going to happen in a month from now. But that takes.
You don't know who are the buyers that I'm going to make an offer, who is willing to buy their home.
Yeah, well, the market's determining it. It's not me. They can get an appraisal, but that appraisal is it's not worth it because appraisal's not buying the house. It's an opinion.
Do you put 6% on commission?
I usually do 5.5%, because the buyer side, I suggest they go 2.5%, because I'm worth all of my 3.
I put 6%.
No, 6% is great, but I feel like if I do 3, if I take care of me and I tell them 2.5% for the buy side, which I'm not, you know, that's because the buyers, All they're doing is putting something in their car. They're not paying for the marketing. They're not paying for the staging. They're not paying for the photographs. They're not, if it doesn't list, the buyer's not out of money. I'm out thousands of dollars. So I always need to get a little bit more. That's my rationale. Doesn't mean, you have to have it. But, and then I said, if I end up representing both sides, I'll drop it down to 5%. So I'll give you a break. So that's the pre-listing packet. Any questions, ahas, or thoughts? Because the listing presentation is going to be a little bit longer, a little more detailed. We're going to do some scripts. William?
When you talk about marketing.
Hold on, Viviana. William?
Sure.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about finding, out of town agents for them. Is that something that you might put into a pre-listing package as well as offering your services to help with that regard as well?
It's not there. It depends on, because it depends. If I know that they're moving, then I'll incorporate it. Usually my pre-listing package is a little more boilerplate, so it's not in there. But when I have those conversations, I'll start mentioning that for sure. Because that's one of the things we have. I mean, our network is ridiculous. It's really cool, and we're, Keller Williams. One of the things we have is we're a family. We love helping each other. We're going to talk about it a little bit later, but one of the advantages of being with Keller Williams is you're not just having one agent in your office that wants to sell their house. You have 100 agents because of the profit sharing component. We're a family. We all have a vested interest in getting that house sold. So you're actually coming in with 100 agents behind you, all wanting that house sold. And nobody else can say that. Cole Baker can't say that.
Is that something you mentioned in the pre-listing or?
Not in the pre-listing, I mentioned in the listing. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
Where do you find the data regarding all the agents all around the world that you can communicate with in case you need them?
The KW website. Say, okay, so who's in, Berlin, Germany? Who Keller Williams? I call the team leader there and say, okay, so I have somebody looking for a condo in South Berlin in this price point. Who's the best agent that knows that market better than anybody else? And then I give that to my person and I said, you don't have to use them. But I've done extensive research and this person is amazing. Find out a little bit about that person. I've already talked to that person, find out about their background. Now they feel like they've got somebody who's warm, that they know almost. So I do that I'll do that once. So one of the things that I'm also doing that's not part of this listing presentation, but I've done some out-of-state investing seminars. So I'm finding some hot markets and I get 40 or 50 people on my Zoom calls. And that's what I do. Tell me what market you're interested in. I will find you the agent. I'll find out the property manager. I'll do that best. And I'm getting a referral from it. Obviously I'm not doing it for free, but it helps them kind of get there because it's overwhelming. I'm going to buy in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, by the way, which is a hot market. Where do I start? Well, I can give them the agent. I can give them a property manager. I can give them a handyman because the Keller Williams agent will have all that I've uncovered.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right, so that's chapter 1. Now we're going into the listing consultation where we meet face to face. Are we ready? Any other questions on pre-listing? It's important. It's not critical. What we're going into is critical. This is the stuff that Denise, you're gonna have a tough time with because you're gonna want to know it really, really well, and there's a lot of components. So you're not gonna want to wing it.
Last question before we move on. Regarding marketing yourself as an agent to sell, what is the best marketing tools you have? We as new agents, we get bombarded with so many things. I have spent a lot of money on things that are not working for me. And I don't know what it is that is best to do to market myself. So,
well, the best thing is right now, and I hate to say this to some of you who are not on social media, but you're going to be the people that are going to know you, trust you, and like you are the people that already know you. Like that's your sweet spot. The people that don't know you, you're going to be competing with 4 or 5 different agents. The people that know you, it's 1 to 2 agents. And so that's really pushing yourself out. And what I would do, let's talk just with you, Elsie. If you're on social media and somebody in your office has a listing, say, can I promote that listing to my sphere? Of course you can. They're going to let you. Your sphere doesn't know that it's not your listing. Say, oh my God, this just hit the market. Can't wait to show it to you. Call me if you want more information. I mean, that's how you're going to get people have to understand, oh my God, Elsie's really in the market. Every week she's showing me another house. This is the best priced house in all of Santa Cruz. Can't wait to show it to you. I mean, that's how you're going to get people to start having confidence in you. All those tools and the Zillows and all that other stuff, that's going to cost you money. And unless you're all in, which means, okay, I'm going to put money in, I'm going to watch Zillow, I'm going to call, I'm going to do all the system that you want, knowing that you've got a lot of competition, they're doing the same thing. People are not competing with your sphere of influence. When you're on Zillow or doing those other things, you're competing with other agents for that buyer or seller, and you have to be on it. So it's using the tools that you have, and the money you're going to spend is, I don't want you spending hardly any right now. There's a whole adage in Keller Williams, you need to lead with revenue. You have to have money to spend money to help market ourselves. Was it Steve? He's talking about a farm in his neighborhood. That makes sense. He's visible in his neighborhood, so he's sending out postcards to everybody in his neighborhood. They should already recognize him. And now the more he does that, by the way, farming is expensive and it takes a while, but if you do it consistently over time, it has great results. When I say over time, I'm talking 18 months.
Actually, it was less expensive than I thought it was going to be the first time around, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's consistent, but you've got to do something every month at least.
Yeah, that's what we plan
How
to
big
do.
is it, Steve? How many people?
280 on this go, but next time I think we'll add some because I'm willing to spend a little more money. So we'll see how it goes.
So and we can talk more about it online, but this is not a listing presentation, but you need to know. I'll do my 2-minute. If you want to farm, you need to go to city council meetings. You need to know what's going on in those neighborhoods. You need to be a neighborhood watch program. You need to be on Nextdoor. Like, you need to be completely vested and know more about what's going on in that neighborhood. What are the issues going on than anybody else, so that you're not just the realtor, you're the go-to person for everything.
Right. This is the neighborhood that we're in. So it's, just everybody around us.
Community garage sales, whatever it is. So you become that person.
Unfortunately, I have an obligation at 2:00, so I'm gonna have to leave, but thank you for the download, and I'll certainly look over all that stuff.
Yeah, there's some great scripts in there. Go over that when you can see.
All right, thanks.
Okay. All right, so we're now on page 54, the listing consultation. And again, Jesse sent you via Elaine the scripts pages on 138 to 155. We don't need those yet. I just want to make sure that you have access to them when we get there. If not, you'll be listening. And now we're on page 56. The most productive activity for listing success is practicing with your scripts and materials. You must know what you're going to say and practice saying it at higher and higher levels of effectiveness. It doesn't cost anything except time to become more efficient in scripts and dialogues. Masters invest time in their skills and practice. Many do a practice listing presentation every day. I do it not enough. I probably do scripts and dialogues with one of my team members once a week, but there are top agents in Keller Williams who are doing it at a high level, that 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, they on their team, all they do are scripts and dialogues, back and forth, objection handlers. And so it's something that should be part of your routine. And the great thing about that is you can do it via Zoom, you can do it on the phone, you can do it in person. There's lots of ways to do that, but that's the foundation of where we're going to be going with this chapter. Going down to that bottom of that page, you need to also be able to know your stats or your data. So right now in Santa Cruz or San Jose or wherever you're at, what's going on with inventory? What can you tell me? Any of you?
We didn't check it today.
But you have an idea.
Well, as I understand, inventory is pretty low. I just looked at a house in my neighborhood that was recently listed and remodeled on California for 1.2. I haven't had a chance to go and look at the inside, but the lowest price home is a condo on Grandview for 70 or so in my neighborhood. Everything's 1 million or above where I'm at right now.
Okay, so what I would encourage you to do, that's awesome, is kind of even be a little bit more specific. So here's a great example. I remember, well, if somebody asked me, how's the market? I said, well, I'll tell you right now, last year there was 800 listings in Monterey County. Right now there's 330. In Salinas, there's 57 listings. In Carmel, Salinas has 200,000 people. Carmel has 4,000 people. There's 50 listings. The inventory is anemic. Those are a couple stats. And do I sound like I know the market? I don't need to know anymore because I've already won by just saying that. Now they may ask me a more specific question, but you got to have a couple stats that you internalize and change it every week. So when people ask you, it just kind of, wow, William knows his stuff. And so you do know your stuff. Just be a little bit better about it. As you know, right now there's in my neighborhood there's 1 at 1.2. There's Grandview is the cheapest. Inventory I hear is pretty low. We can be a little bit more definitive about that.
Kind of, and I guess whether it's a seller's market or those kind of angles, and sounds like it kind of at each, I think, bracket down the line, kind of need to know the demographics around the selling, like from the county to the city to my neighborhood, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of starting up here and moving down. Absolutely. And keep in mind, so here's, I was teaching a lot of classes a long time ago. If you're going to a party or a social engagement or a networking, know what's going on in that neighborhood, because people are invariably going to ask you, how's the market? And say, well, you saw the house down the street. Let me tell you about it. So it's just being knowing a little bit more. And again, you're not going to say, hey, let me tell you. You're waiting until they ask you and you have that answer for them.
So I know you've got a lot of experience, so that really helps out a lot. But what are these the resources that your first stop resources kind of gather this intel on any given market, if you're going someplace?
You guys in your market center, you guys don't in your office meetings, do you go over stats at all?
Yes.
Well, take those. I mean, that's all you need. I mean, it's going to be general enough. Somebody's doing the research for you. They pull them probably directly from the MLS. But what's interesting is most agents do not study that. You don't have to study it. Just know a couple stats.
Yeah.
Each week. And what you can do, if I were you, take 2 stats, post it on social media. You become an expert. It's people love numbers. So and I know you're on social media, but as you do, it's an easy way to just, you're not being personal. You're not showing your personal information. You're saying, hey, did you know that right now in Santa Cruz, there's only 83 listings? Last year at this time, there was 186 or whatever the numbers are, but that's really cool stuff. And you can pull that from your office meetings. Days in the market. How are days in the market going on in your world?
Very short, about 2 weeks.
Right.
About 2 weeks. 2 weeks less, right?
Mhm.
For what? For
About
price
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, by the way, so what I would ask you to find out from an experienced agent, what is normal? For somebody who's just getting in the market, what does that mean to me? Well, it's supposed to be, 2 months days of the market, or a month, 30 days. 2 weeks
Yeah.
is.
And they're saying that the listing price is the starting price.
Yeah. It's we're all of a sudden we're Los Gatos again, where it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of your price per square foot in your market? Any of your markets?
About 800, 900, 1,000, depending if it's a big house or smaller. The smaller ones, they go higher on a square footage. The bigger ones, they go a little less.
And why is that, Elsie?
Why is that? Because I think the larger homes, you have a lot more wasted space, and it attracts certain people that are different than those who are needing just condos and smaller places just for them to buy.
Well, another reason is the land. The land is the land. So you got a 2,000 square foot house on a 4,000 square foot lot, and you have a 3,000 square foot house on a 4,000 square foot lot. That 3,000 square foot house is going to be priced per square foot a lot less because it's bigger, but the land hasn't changed. So does Prop 19, do you guys know what Prop 19 is?
Yes.
How is that going to impact real estate?
Well, big time for those who apply for it, which is 55 years and over, or they have any disability. They can take their old taxes that they were set on much less priced property with them to the newer property that they are purchasing without adding on to their payments. So they're selling high and they're gaining from their sale, and they're buying something that might be better, and they're paying the same taxes that they used to pay before. So it's a win-win situation for them.
What does that do for inventory?
It opens up a little bit because those who need to leave this area, they will get their homes selling in this area.
And that's the conversation, exactly. Denise, I saw you raise your hand.
Well, what's happening also is people are coming from over the hill, San Jose area, and they're selling high, coming over to Santa Cruz County where the prices aren't as high, and they're bringing that that tax savings with them. So they're coming into our market, and in a way it's pushing the local people out who might not be able to afford to pay. And of course, these people that are coming into the area have that cash, and they're able to pay cash or offer a price over the asking price. And that competes with our local buyers.
100%. Yeah, that's the case. But the good that's, and what I try to do is to put everything on a positive. And so it's, in this case, if you're selling, it's great for you because we're getting people from all over the state that can now transfer their tax base to purchase from here. If you're selling, using sellers as an example, because we're at a sellers seminar right now, you can now purchase anywhere in the state and maintain your tax base as long as you buy some. It actually doesn't have to be equal or lesser value as long as you purchase something and you're 55 or older. There is a quadrant about if you do not get the stepped up tax base for your kids, which is that's hurting people, but that will also increase inventory because the kids aren't going to be able to afford the homes. So the hope is once people figure it out, inventory should loosen up, and that's kind of the things. What's happening in your world regarding major employers? Anything moving in or moving out? Probably not. You don't have major employers in Santa Cruz.
I know of one moving in Santa Cruz.
We have many exodus from the general area over here with big companies moving outside of California state. But still, even with that, we still have very low inventory on selling homes.
How is water impacting your market? Does it? The water availability?
Not in Watsonville. Because we have our own aquifer.
Okay.
Yeah.
William?
Yeah, so I would say that that's an issue. Soquel Creek watershed. Yeah.
The reason I'm asking all these things, these are all things that you would bring to a listing presentation as you're talking about the market. Now, again, you don't have to talk about all of them, but it's, so let me, they're going to say, so tell me what my house is worth. I said, well, let me tell you some factors that are impacting the market right now. We've got, we're talking inventory is low, days of the market is low, Prop 19 is, so what it does, you're educating them and you're setting yourself apart. It's not just price per square foot. There's other things determining the factors as we market your home. So just the reason, so that's why these are great discussions to have, because you're having a conversation. It's not all presenting. You're asking questions and you're presenting. So you don't need to be an expert on any of this. Just know how it impacts a seller or a buyer. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's it there. That was page 56, 57. There's a whole class on active listening, mirror and matching, and we're not going to go deep into that, but you know that if you're talking to an engineer, have numbers. If you're talking to, and if you take the disc, if you're a high I or somebody you can tell that they're a little bit more touchy-feely, then it's going to be feeling. How does it feel to sell your house? It's not you won't play. So you're going to try and figure out who you're talking to and kind of mirror and match them, and sit as they sit, talk as they sit. If they're a soft speaker, lower your voice. If they're a loudspeaker, be a little bit more louder. Speak fast. I speak way too quickly, so I always have to monitor my cadence. My mom, who's passed away, she always said, Ben, speak more slowly. So I listen to her right now. But that's and always, and when the sellers are talking, always active. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Or if they're going to ask a question, and we're going to go into this a little bit later, they'll say, thank you so much for asking that. I hate to say this, or I love saying this. I was in Maui a week ago, and we were at a restaurant, and we said, what's the fresh catch of the day? And the waiter said, I am so glad you asked that. Or it made me feel good. It's a stupid question. He was going to tell me anyway, but it just made me feel good. So we get to do that in our listings. And you know what? What do you charge? What's your commission rate? I said, oh my goodness. I couldn't wait for you to ask me that question. Or what do you think my house is worth? Or what is your marketing plan like? Oh, that's my favorite part of the discussion. Let's talk about it. It's being positive, being optimistic, but also kind of feeding their egos, make them feel like, oh my God, that's a brilliant question. Have you ever been in those conversations where you ask a normal question, they always say, God, Elsie, that's a great question. Well, it's like, I just asked how you were. It's not that great.
Yeah.
But get in the habit of doing that. And the good news is you don't have to be in a listing presentation to start doing these skills. You could do that at the office with your family or whatever, start being a little bit more proactive and being supportive of those questions as they come in and as people are talking. I'm watching Elsie right now and she's smiling and laughing and engaging. And it's making me feel, okay, so whatever I'm saying is important, or she's a good actress. It doesn't matter. It makes me feel.
No, I'm not. I do get excited when I engage with people. Like that's my warm spot. I know how to communicate with people, but to get to that point is not easy for me.
No, but know that that's a skill. That's a skill that you have. So you just have to figure out how to get there more quickly. Because as soon as you get to that, you're warmer and charming and all that other stuff. They also say always seek for agreement. So if you ask a question, for example, I wrote in here, what do you understand about the market right now? So you can ask them that, and they're going to say, just as William said, well, I understand the inventory is low, days of the markets are less, and you said you're absolutely right, and then you expound on it. But also you're affirming that you're getting them on the same page. And you're getting them used to saying yes, or you're getting them used to you're agreeing with them. And it's not being disingenuous. It's setting them up for success. So now we're going into page 59, and it's the consultation. And there's 10 steps, and they break down those 10 steps. One is confirming the appointment, adopt a yes mindset, enter and tour, begin the conversation, uncover and prioritize needs, check for commitment, handle objections, set expectations, negotiate and resolve, and then close. We get to go over all that the next few minutes. Before we do, I don't know why they did this, but they said, when you go on a listing appointment, bring a toolkit. Does that sound familiar ever? There's a listing appointment toolkit. It's on page 159 of your toolkit in the back of your book. So you may or may not have it, but I'm assuming you don't. So I'm just going to read it to you. If at some point, if you don't have it, then Jesse will get it to you. So as I mentioned before, you're going to bring in your listing toolkit, in your listing package that you bring for the appointment, you're going to bring the listing agreement. You're going to assume you're going to get the listing. So you're going to bring the listing agreement. You're going to bring the MLS input form, which you probably haven't seen yet, but you go to MLS and you're able to download the MLS input form that has all the blanks for all the areas that you're going to put in the MLS. You'll bring the seller disclosure forms. It says you bring a loan amortization table. I don't bring that, but you might bring your seller's estimated statement. These are other things that you might want to bring: a measuring tape, a digital camera, a flashlight, They said a first aid kit. I'm not sure about that. They said a spare pair of shoes,
Mm-hmm.
WD-40, pliers and screwdrivers. I don't bring those. I might bring it later, like at times, and then in general, you'll bring your CMA, your presentation, an area map, a clipboard, a notepad, pens and pencils, a calendar. I always bring a calendar because as we get closer, even if I don't have the listing, so let's talk about where you want to be. And then I'll pull out the calendar. It'll be probably the next 3 months. So it'll be the month calendar with all the days. So, okay, so if you want to be here, then we talk about, okay, so if we sign the listing agreement today, we're going to, we'll have inspections, we start mapping it out. They can start seeing where those times are. We'll do photographs here. It'll hit the MLS here. We'll have showings here. We'll review offers here. And you can actually start writing that stuff in the 2 or 3 month calendar that you brought. And because what that does, they start seeing themselves where they're going. You're helping them do that. I'm going to tell you right now, most listings agents don't do that. They present their marketing plan and they hope that they get called back. You're going to assume that you're going to get it. And one of the things you're going to be doing is having some of these tools with us. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now we are on page 60. So the first thing is confirming the appointment. So we've already had remember we had the conversation a week ago, and they said, okay, well, we'll meet you this week. We'll meet you Thursday at 11. I will be dropping off a pre-listing packet on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Will that work for you? Will you be home? Great. Then you have Viviana drop it off for you, and she drops off and says, Elsie is awesome. Everybody loves her. You're going to love her. You set yourself up for success.
Yep.
Then the next day, did you get the pre-listing packet? Fantastic. Will you have a chance to go over it before I meet you and bring up any questions that you might have when we're there? It'll save you time. It'll save me time. Fantastic. We're still set for tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Will all the decision makers be there when I'm there? Great. If they're not, would it be better if I came back at another time when all the decision makers are there? Because what you don't want to do is waste your time and throw all your best stuff at you, and then one of the decision makers is there and you got to do it all over again, or they're not available. Then they end up seeing somebody else. They fall in love with them. So you really want to confirm that all the decision makers are there. And we've already talked about check the homework. Find out, is it still, reaffirm anything you've already discussed. And then that's about it. That's confirming the appointment. Any questions at that stage? That's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming there's no questions. Seeing done, adopt a yes mindset. We talked about that just a second ago. They develop a personal routine to set their mind for success before stepping up to the door. They know that they imagine their success becomes more ensured when going to listing consultation appointment. I had a teacher once, and I did it once. They said, do a video of you right outside the door. Said, I'm going into 123 Main Street to get this listing appointment. I can't wait. I walked in, didn't get it, so I never did it again. But that's the idea, is to at least have that mindset that you're going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So typically what I do is I drive the neighborhood before. If there's anything that if I can find out about that neighborhood. So, okay, so I'll look it up. Okay, so, and you can do this in your realist. What's the activity of that in that neighborhood? Okay, so when did this last house that sold? How long did they live there? So at least I've got some confidence about that neighborhood, because who knows that neighborhood better than anybody? The person's living there. There's no way I'm going to know everything that they know. But I can cheat a little bit and say, well, your next door neighbor's been here for 7 years. The other neighbor's been here for 2. You don't have to come up with a lot of stats, just like we did earlier. You come up with 2 or 3, they go, wow, William did his homework. And it's not a lot of work to do, but it's like, wow, I just noticed your neighbor right across the street's been there for 25 years. Seems like it must be a stable neighborhood or something like that. Just come in with a little more information than you would have had otherwise. It has nothing to do with marketing, has nothing to do with the price of the house, but it shows that you've invested a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
That's adopt a yes mindset. You can do the video outside and said, I can't wait to get this listing. I'll see you in a minute. It didn't work for me, so I never did it again. I mentioned before that you'll also use this as a yes mindset. And this is what, why Keller Williams, and I use this every single time, is I don't know how many people you have in Santa Cruz, but Keller Williams in Carmel has 102 agents. I said, let me tell you the difference with our office and any other office. We have 102 agents that have a vested interest in getting your house sold. When I was with Coldwell Banker, the only people that were happy when I sold a house was me and the broker manager. Nobody else really could care. They were happy for me, great. But because of Keller Williams and their profit sharing system where we share the profits in our office, they offer vested interest in getting your house sold, Mr. Seller. So you have 102 agents that really want to get this house sold, and I'm going to be going to them first. I'm just telling you, nobody else has that dynamic. And that's a true story. And I'm not fibbing, I'm not doing anything else. Because you are going to mention it in your office. They do, you know that you're a family. They want Adeline to be successful. And if it's a good, well-priced property, you're going to give them first shot. What I used to do, this was also another little thing that I did, and it cost you $49, is if it's 123 Main Street, I'll purchase 123mainstreet.com. I'll put a couple photos on there, and I'll go to them, and it shows, well, I've already Mr. Seller, well, I've already purchased the domain 123mainstreet.com. Already started the photo. Of course, we're going to put in some professional photos in there and some the floor plans and things like that. But I just want you to know that I've already reserved it, so we're ready to go. Now that's pretty cool because it's going to cost you $49, but nobody else can now take that website, and you've already done some research that nobody else has done. You're assuming you're going to get the listing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Have they ever hit you with why would you do that? Like, did they ever ask?
They haven't, but if they did, I said, because it invariably it tells people that I'm confident that I'm going to get the listing and sell their house, and invariably I do. That's what I would say. Did anybody else do that? No, because they're not as confident as I am. Okay, so now they're talking about when you come up to the house, and again they're breaking in all the pieces down. So you're at the front door. You confirm the appointment. You show up a couple minutes early. You knock on the door. Technically, you're supposed to take a step backwards. So you're not right at the door when they open the door. You take a step backwards. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Ben Beesley. We have an appointment at 2:00. It's 2:00. And I always say, would you like, it's a good time. Would you like me to take my shoes off? I do that for every open house, and it's just my thing. And I usually wear slip-ons for that reason. And invariably they say, no, wear your shoes. But at least it shows common courtesy. And if you don't ask, you're wearing shoes, all of a sudden you see all the shoes off, you're not doing the right thing. So that's the first thing I do. Then there's 2 rules of that. Fantastic. Did you go through all the paperwork that I sent you? Great. Let's go through that, but I want to tour the house. What Keller Williams wants you to do is they want you to tour it by yourself. And the reason being is, and the seller's going to say, well, I'd like to show you the house. I said, Mr. Seller, I'd rather have you go over the paperwork again. Let me look at it as a buyer would look through it, because you're not going to be here to show them the house. Afterwards, when we get the listing, I'm going to have you show me the house and show me all the things that we need to do to sell it. But I want to look at it as a buyer would look at it. That's what Keller Williams wants you to do. I always like them to show me the house. That's my personal opinion. Show it to me and show me all the positives, all the negatives. And then I'll say, after I'm gone, what I'd like for you to do for me is get a glass of wine or a cup of coffee and take some time and go room by room and talk about every single thing you've ever done to this house. It'll help the value of the house. I'm going to market all those things you've done. If you painted, if you put in baseboards, if you put in new appliances, I don't care if you did it 4 years ago, 10 years ago. Did you do it? When did you do it? When was the roof? I want you to go through the entire house, indoors and outdoors, and I'm going to use that as a separate marketing piece. Now, again, when you go check out houses, you're going to find that most people haven't done that. But that's going to help me sell the house, because now all of a sudden I can show a buyer, well, the hot water heater is 8 years old. They put in a new hot water heater 8 years ago. It goes deeper than what your disclosure is going to go. And I'm going to use it as a separate marketing piece. There's my flyer, there's my floor plan, and there's my recent list of updates and upgrades. So now you've gone through, you've walked through the house, they're sitting, and now we're having discussions. Where are we? We're done page 63, 64. I have the listing presentation, and I'm going to encourage you to really go through your listing presentation many times with your friends, family members, your kids, know it inside and out. But I'm going to tell you now, once you've done this many, many times, you're having a conversation. You're going to know that listing presentation so well, you just have the conversation. You don't, I'll start with, okay, let's talk about where you're going to be going. When are you going? Why is that important? When do you need to be there? It has nothing to do with selling the house, but it's everything with their motivation. Or why are you selling? It's a 1031 exchange. Fantastic. How long do you own it? Are you going to be buying something else? It's really getting into everyone has a reason for selling. I just realized this is the top of the market. You're absolutely right. If you thought about what you're going to do with your capital gains, it's a consultative part. So, okay. So the reason you do that is if you know that they're moving for a job, if you know they're moving for family, if you know they're moving because of whatever, you get to continually bring that back to the table in your conversation for everything else. Well, if we market it right, we can have you in escrow within 2 weeks, in your house, out of this house in a month, in your new place in 6 weeks, or whatever that time frame is. You get to play with that, and it just helps you quite a bit. So you're having a consultative conversation at the very beginning, asking them questions. You're not presenting; it's all about them. Mr. Seller, so you've gone through that. As I mentioned before, you've hired me to do 2 things. One is to market and negotiate on your behalf. Let's talk about how I'm going to uniquely market your house better than anybody else. That's when you get to talk about, and I spend a lot of time on social media and what we do with that, but that's my thing. And you can ask me questions about that later, but that's where I go and talk about, okay, so we know your buyers are coming from Silicon Valley, or where's the major markets? Is it a move up? It depends on the house. We get to focus on where the buyers are coming from and how we're going to attract those buyers. We're not just putting a big net out there and hoping, putting it on Zillow and hoping everybody finds it. We're going to be doing that, plus going specifically after that specific buyer that's going to be looking for that house. If it's a $700,000 house, you're not looking for a multi-million-dollar buyer that's coming from Silicon Valley that's selling their $7 million house. We're going after a move-up buyer. We're moving up from Watsonville to go to Santa Cruz or school districts or whatever. We need to focus in on that. And so we need to figure out, that's where, Mr. Seller, you're hiring me to help identify who that likely buyer is. And I've got 100 agents in my office that are going to help me do the same thing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I do this more with buyers than I do with sellers, but it's a whole needs versus wants. So, Mr. Seller, you'd like to be in Phoenix by June. Is that a need or a want? That's because it's a difference. It'll impact things. All right. So, Mr. Seller, so what do you think your house is worth? Well, I think it's worth $1.2 million. Fantastic. Why do you think that? Great. Well, let's look at the numbers and whatnot. If we got that, what do you need to get moving forward? So it's identifying what those needs and wants are. I'd like to be so and so. Okay, that's good to know. Where do you need to have? I need to have this house sold because it just helps us identify what's really important to the seller. 64, 65. There's some example questions on 65. What's your ideal time frame? In an ideal world, how will this end? What's your biggest concern? Describe your ideal relationship with an agent, which I'll answer that in a second. How involved do you want to be? What happens if we do not hit your goal? Always ask, why is this important to you? I remember a class that I took a long time ago, and they said, how does one win with you? How does an agent win with you? Or tell me, you'd start off with, tell me your experiences with agents in the past. And then you'll say, how does an agent win with you? And if I would have known that when I was single, I would have used that on a dating app. How do I win with you? It's a really good conversation piece. Okay, so because they're gonna tell you what not to do and what to do. So, Mr. Seller, I want this to be a very positive relationship. How do I meet your expectations? What do I need to, how do I behave? How do you want to be communicated with? You want to be communicated every single day, once a week, whenever I have interested buyers? And is it via email? Is it via text? Is you want me to call you? And it's continually asking those questions to the seller, saying, how do I make this great for you? How do I make this an enjoyable process for you? I never did do it on a date per se, but I think it would have worked. 64, 65. There's another question that you might want to write down is, as you go through this, is there anything that I've left out that another agent may have brought up that I forgot to mention that another agent has brought up? Yeah, well, the other agent told me that they were going to put it in the magazine. Great, absolutely. You know, we absolutely can do that. I do want you to know that literally, if we do our job right, it's by the time I put it in the magazine, your house is already sold. But we can do that. I did not. So you want to make sure you're including anything that anybody else has brought up and then some. So you ask the question, is there anything that I've mentioned so far that I forgot to mention that another agent has brought up? Great. And you're always looking for closing. So if, you know, and I should have said this earlier, Mr. Seller, if I meet all of your expectations, if I meet and exceed all of your expectations in our meeting, Mr. Seller, will you be ready to sign with me tomorrow? This is in one of your consultative questions or calls. If I meet and exceed all of your expectations, will you be able to sign with me tomorrow? Because I'll have everything ready. So it's just, you're already setting the expectation. And they'll say, no, I've got 3 or 4 more agents. Or you can say, how many agents are you interviewing? When are those? Ideally, you want to be first or last. And then one of the things you'll do is invariably sellers have friends that they've interviewed. And they said, you know, I really like you, but I've got a friend of mine who is, you know, I don't know how to tell them. I'll make the call for you. I'll encourage them to bring a buyer to the table, but you've chosen me, and keep the emotions out of it. So and I've done that. I've made those calls to other agents saying, you know, I've got some good news and bad news. Good news is you can bring a buyer to help for this house. The bad news is I'll be listing it. But they really liked you. They just liked me a little bit better. There's another question that they ask. They go through. Said, great. This is one of my favorite lines. Also, are you ready to put me to work? Or when can I go to work for you? Or if I was doing an open house, I would ask a buyer. I said, are you with another agent? They said no. I said, great. Can I apply for the? Because what we are, it's a job. It's a $30,000 payday job or $20,000, $18,000 payday job, but you're applying for the job. So when can I go to work for you, Mr. When can I start, you know, working for you? So it's a different mindset. Instead of just listing a house, we're working for you. All right, now we're going to go into objections. Denise, do you have those scripts and dialogues?
I did have them, but I'm afraid I'm going to lose them if I click on something.
Just, Denise, all you gotta do is hit the green button and put it side by side. Just hit both green buttons and it'll make it small.
What green button? The share screen button or?
Yeah, no. When you go on the Zoom, you see there's a green button, hit it. Oops. And then your file should show up on the other side. You see? It's like side by side, you can do it.
Of course I don't see it.
Oh. There's a green button at the top of the Zoom and just make it small.
With a little check mark?
Yes, it's green. Just make it small.
Yeah.
And then your file should be there to the right. If you downloaded it, it should be right there. Open that up and then make that small green and then it'll be there.
Oh, I don't think, no, this is not right what I have.
Okay, I tried.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I had it on screen and then I don't know where it went.
No worries. It's probably there.
Oh. I don't know where it is. I had it though. I had the whole thing up.
Open up
Did-
like Google.
Did we lose,
I think we lost him.
Yeah, his internet cut out.
Oh no.
yeah, I had it. I have it here.
Oh my God.
I was reading
What
it.
is it you're trying to put up, Denise? Is it you have some personal
manual.
scripts?
The manual.
The manual that he had up. I had it on, and now it's gone. Okay, it says it already exists. I know that because I downloaded it. All I see here is the. Oh God.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But
But it
now
is,
what, guys? Teacher's gone.
well, one
I
thing I'd
just
like
I
to,
just tried to share the manual and it told me that only the host has permission to share on this meeting. So I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not.
oh,
Oh, like the screen share here. Oh yeah, same.
yeah, yes, I tried that. One thing I want to mention is, as a teacher, when you're in conversation with the real estate agent and you ask, oh, how's the market? And they say, oh, it's really hot. What does that tell the person who asked the question?
Not a lot, really.
No, nothing. So the way Mr. Beasley was explaining was perfect. He was explaining exactly what the market was like, and he was explaining what he meant. Like, for instance, there's inventories only at this many houses are on inventory in this area, and the prices are like this, and we've sold houses in this many days. That tells the person who asked that question what the market's like. So it's really, you have to assume that the person doesn't know that much, and you need to have that concrete information to explain to them.
Got to have your details in order.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I suppose his router went down or something because
Yeah.
he's not returning to the meeting.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying his presentation. It is so clear and concrete.
Yeah. It is. I want to look at his listing presentation and as a guide.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
I would
back.
like.
He's
Oh,
back.
there he is. We're all talking.
I know, sorry about that. My computer just completely crashed on me, so now I'm on my phone.
Oh,
Hey,
Good
good
job.
transition.
Thank you. I apologize for that. Weird. Okay, so do you guys have scripts and dialogues?
Is that in the
Uh-oh.
the seller's manual?
what'd you say?
Is that in the when
Are you
the
there?
seller's manual that we just downloaded, or?
Yeah, it's the one that Jesse sent out or Elaine sent out,
Oh,
and
there
it's
it is.
page 1.
What page?
My
I,
page
uh,
157 has a pre-listing lead sheet. My 158 has a toolkit checklist. My 159 has the items and listing appointment. So I'm not sure if the page numbers for me are correct compared to where you're.
157 pre-listing lead sheet. Yeah.
No, go
page
backwards.
are you
Go
on,
back to
Beasley?
130.
One what?
Go back to 138.
138. Okay.
Okay.
Objection handling scripts. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So you're going to
Yes.
be the agent. And so who's this? Is this Jeannie?
Oh, me, Gina.
Gina, go to you be the agent, I'll be the seller
Okay.
on option A.
All right. I'm sorry. Okay, here it is. Okay. All right. So Ben, I appreciate the fact you want to save money. Everybody does. Let me ask you, is it what you pay that's important or what you put in your pocket when it's all over?
What I put in my pocket, of course.
Absolutely. So when we look at the multiple listing statistics, they show that an average agent in our area is receiving 94% of their asking price. And the same multiple listing statistics show me that 99.2% of my asking price. Now that's putting 5.2% more in your pocket, which is what you want, right?
Right.
Well, that's right. So let's simply sign the contract so we can get you what you want, which is the most money possible. Okay.
Sounds great.
There you go. Here's a pen.
Okay, so this is all about commissionectomy, they call it. So who's next? Who wants to read next?
Denise.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
She's on my
Go
team.
for it.
I said that.
Go for
Is
it.
it option B?
Option B.
All right. Hello, Mr. Beasley. I understand. And let me ask you, do you have to plead and persuade this agent to lower his commission, or did he just offer the first time you asked?
He just offered it the first time.
That's what I thought. You know what scares me about that?
What?
Let's say you have a large bull right here on the table, and it's holding all the money you are going to receive for your home. You're asking Mr. Beasley. So picture that, Mr. Beasley, dollars in the bull. Now are you going to have a wimp protecting your money? Someone who reached into their own pocket and took his own money out without even putting up a fight? Or do you want a bulldog like me? Someone who will protect your money as much as I protect my own? You want my kind who will look out for your money and get you top dollar, right?
Yep, I want top dollar.
Great. So simply sign the contract so we can get to what you want in the time you want. Won't that be great?
Sounds great. Okay, so who's next?
I love it.
I can go next.
Okay, perfect. Option C.
Okay, Mr. Seller, I can appreciate that. You know what amazed me about real estate is you take a new agent who can't even make it to the next house without a map and knows nothing about the market, floor plans, or all the other things that are important because they are new and they get paid the same amount as an agent who has been in real estate for many years, who knows the market and has sold many homes. Let me ask you, do you want someone who understands real estate and knows how to treat it like a business, or someone who doesn't understand money and the business of real estate?
I'm not certain what you mean.
Well, let's look at commission, the money of real estate and business. Let's say you own this business and you know that 3% goes to the other broker, the one that sells your home. 1% of it goes to taxes and 1% goes to the other broker and expenses. And the other 1% goes to the marketing your home. What does that leave the other agent?
If you look at it that way, he's in the hole.
Doesn't that scare you that he doesn't know that? Does it scare you that he is willing to work for nothing?
It sure does.
Do you know why he's willing to work for nothing?
No.
Because 18% of all buyers, according to the National Association of Realtors, come in contact with the realtor they buy from when they call on a for sale sign. So he wants to place a sign in front of your home to obtain buyers for other properties. Do you want someone who wants to sell your home, get your top dollar, and cares about you and your family, or someone who wants to obtain buyers so they can make money off of you?
I want someone who cares about me and my family.
Great, let's get started and get you and your family moved by getting you the best price, okay?
That sounds great.
Let's simply sign the contract and get you and your family moved.
Great. Okay, so that's now again, there's lots of commission scripts. Those are some of them. What I'd encourage you to do is kind of take one of them and just get to know it very well. We're going to go to situation 2 on page 142. The seller sees the market shift and has unrealistic expectations. So the seller's objection is, we just want to test the market and see if we can get a buyer at a higher price. Who's next?
Oh, I just lost it. I was gonna go. Let me get, okay, I got it. All right.
Okay.
I'm confused. Did you want to test the market or sell your home?
I want to sell at the highest price, of course.
Well, that's great. We have the same goal. So let me ask you, have you ever bought or sold stocks or know of someone who did?
Yeah.
Well, if you bought a stock at $49 and wanted to sell it, and the market said it was worth $49.50, would you place a higher value on it to test the market, or would you sell it for market value?
If it market value, if I wanted to sell it.
You're right. You want to sell for the most money, and the real estate market dictates what you will receive, just like the stock market. So let's sell your home for the highest price the market will allow, which is what you want, correct?
Yes.
Then the price based on the market analysis is telling us today your home should sell for $700,000. Let's price it right so you and your family can move. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
What's interesting
great.
on that, if you look at that, he said, market value if I want to sell it. The agent says, you're right. So it's using that, Mr. Seller, you're right. And
The affirmation.
give that power as many times as you possibly can. We've got situation 3. I think we've got Edeline next.
And we could, but let me share you what concerns me about that. When you first go on the market, all the people that are looking in your particular price range will come and see your home. They will compare it to all the homes they have viewed prior to yours, and guess what they will find? Your home doesn't show them any more value than the other homes that they decided not to buy. Worse yet, the agents in the area know what homes like yours in this neighborhood at the time are selling for. And when they are choosing which homes to show, they might choose yours. And guess what they would choose? Guess why they would choose it?
Because they like it?
They would show it to help sell the other homes that is a lower price with more features. So the question is, do you want your home to be shown or do you want it sold?
Yes, we want it sold, and we can come down on the price in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, you could. And yet at that point, the best buyers have already looked. Have you ever seen or known of a home that has been on the market a long time?
Sure have.
Did you ever wonder what was wrong with it?
All the time.
Do you want people to wonder what's wrong with your home?
No.
Well then, let's price it right now and get it sold, okay?
Okay. We got option B, page 140. Hold on, 146. Who's next?
I can
We're
go
back
next.
to number 1, are we? Or is Linda, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I can go next.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a different situation, correct? That situation.
Page 147 is the seller has a fear of selling at the wrong time. We just can't afford to sell now when the prices are down. Says nobody. But go ahead, Linda.
Ben, I can appreciate that. It sounds like you want to save money. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, we are going to sell at a lower price than you imagined. That is true. I don't make the market. I only interpret it. So please don't shoot the messenger. The market states your home is worth $850,000. There is an exciting part to this, however. May I explain?
Yes. What can be exciting about me getting less money?
It's called supply and demand. Right now in our market, there are a certain number of buyers that are willing and able to buy a home. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
And do you think there are more buyers able to buy in a lower price range than a higher price range? For example, there are more $1 million buyers. Are there more $1 million buyers or more $100,000 buyers?
More $100,000 buyers, of course.
Right. So when you sell, you'll be buying a larger and more expensive home than you currently own, right?
Right.
So you'll have more buyers for your home than the one you're buying, correct?
Yep.
Great. So we agree that supply and demand dictates price. With you having more buyers, you will sell at one price and buy at another price. Now, the exciting part, Ben, is that your home is not worth as much as you expected, and yet the seller selling the home that you're going to buy will have to price their home at a percentage rate lower than yours. So in essence, you're saving money by buying right now, aren't you?
Wow, that makes sense.
All we need to do now is simply price the home to sell, make you a great buyer to negotiate the best price on the home you buy. Isn't that right?
That's right.
Just curious.
What's that? Tina, did you say
Oh,
something?
no.
Okay, So we're moving on. We got option B for the same scenario. And I think, Gene, are you up? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Option B, page 149.
Okay. 149.
Yep.
It jumped. Okay, got it. All right. Ben, I understand the price you get for your home is important to you and you want the highest price possible, right?
Right.
Well, here's the number of all the properties for sale and here's the number of all the properties sold. So you can see the sold number is much smaller than the for sale number, right?
That's right.
Well, luckily you're becoming aware that only the homes that are priced right make it to the sold list. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
All right, Ben. Well, you want to buy a new home and you want your home to be sold in Ben's, I don't know what that means. Wait.
Correct.
Okay. Correct. Oops. In order to sell your home, we need to price it right. Don't you agree?
I guess.
Well, Ben, you want the highest price the market will bear. Frankly, you need an agent that understands the market and can interpret that, like me. Let's choose a price that'll get it sold. Okay.
Okay. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. I think we have one or two scenarios left. The seller's unrealistic expectations about the value of their home. And they say, we just don't think that the market is nearly as bad as everyone thinks. And our house is a lot nicer than the others in the neighborhood. Who's next?
I think it's me.
Go
Not
for
sure.
it.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. Mr. Beasley, I can appreciate where you're coming from. And let's take a quick look at the market statistics for your area. Today, there are 2 times the number of houses on the market than there were just a year ago. And as you can see, sales are down approximately 3%. From a marketing standpoint, this theory is called supply and demand. Therefore, when the supply goes up and the demand goes down, what has to happen to pricing? Does it go up or down?
It goes down.
Let's do the right thing based on the shifting market and price the home where it will sell, not a price that will cause it to expire.
Well, our house is better than others.
I completely respect your belief in the value of your home. And I'm curious, has there ever been a time in your life when you were surprised when you saw the asking price of something?
Yeah.
Well, this time is just like that time. If we price this home above the market value, the buyers will be equally shocked and will simply move on to the next home. We don't want that to happen, do we?
No.
Then let's make the wise decision to price it right so you can move forward with your plans, okay?
All right. Okay, now we've got the seller may not be willing to bring its property up to standard. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about pricing as people talk about pricing. Typically, and this is a rule of thumb, but I use it when we're pricing, $500,000 and below. Let's say the listing price is $500,000 or below. People look at on the internet $50,000 and above. Like they go 450 and below, 400 below, 500 below. As they get above 500, they start going by 100,000, 600,000 below, 700,000 below, 800,000 below, 900,000 below. And as they go over $1 million, it tends to be 250,000 increments. Generally, again, it's not a rule of thumb, but it's a rule of thumb. It's not an exact science. So when you're pricing a property, let's say you price the property at $575,000 or $560,000. You'd rather be at $549 because more people are going to be looking at your property. If that makes sense, it's just trying to be where we're trying to get as many. Our job is to get as many eyes as possible on the property. So if the property is worth $550, go $549, not $560. If the property is worth $1 million, go $999, not $1 million, because you're trying to get as many eyes on the property as possible. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay.
So from a selling standpoint, it seems that it's more important what's selling currently around that location and comparable than the exact nature and quality of the home, its appraisal,
I do.
all of the kind of, okay.
I mean, I do. What I do is when I do a quick CMA for a property, I take let's say it's 2,200 square feet. I go 2,000 to 2,500 square feet in that neighborhood. I don't need to see a large house or a small house in that neighborhood because it skews the numbers. So I'll try and find in that neighborhood, a square foot. So I always try and go a little bit below and a little bit higher. As long as there's enough listings to tell the story that I want to. Okay. Situation 6, the seller may not be willing to bring his property up to standard. And I'm saying all the agents that have been through have loved our home, have told us how nice it is. Who's next?
I think I am.
I think you are.
Okay, Mr. Seller, I can appreciate that. You do have a very nice property. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. The ultimate question is, are those agents going to buy your house?
Well, I don't think so.
Just out of curiosity, let's pretend you were an agent. In order to make money, you had to attract buyers so you could tell them a home and that you can sell them a home, and you knew that most buyers call from the signs in front of homes. How many signs would you want to have out to attract buyers?
As many as I could.
That's right. All agents would. And let's say you came to my home and you didn't care if my home sold as long as you couldn't get a sign in front and attract a lot of buyers. Might you tell me anything I wanted to hear in order to get your sign in front of my house, attract a lot of buyers calls and tell them other houses and sell them other houses?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry. The agents that were here before me may not have as high of standards as I do. Maybe that's why the homes that have my signs in front of them also have sold signs on them. You want an agent that tells you the truth, right?
Oh,
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Believe me, if I didn't care if your home sold for top dollar and I just wanted to buyers of your sign, I would be telling you the same thing as all the others. It is important that you know, one, I tell the truth no matter how uncomfortable it is. Two, I get sellers more money than almost any other agent in my area. And three, I get more money in less time because the standards I have for my sellers are placing their home on the market in the best possible condition. So it screams value over all the other homes a buyer is comparing their homes to. Because my seller wants the most money and the quickest sale possible, they bring their home to the highest standards, and you do want the most money, right?
Absolutely.
Since buyers will look at about 10 to 12 homes before deciding which one to buy, it means your home will be in competition with 9 to 11 other homes at all times. Let's show as much value to the buyer as possible and make the other homes pale in comparison to yours. Doesn't that make sense?
Absolutely. It sure does. We have one last option. Who's gonna be the agent?
I can do it.
Okay, you got it.
Okay. I can appreciate that. Do you remember when you were buying this house?
Absolutely.
Think back when you saw a room that needed to be painted. Did you think in terms of the cost of the paint, or did you go, oh, we will have to get a professional painter and that will cost $1,000?
If I'm honest, I'm not sure we thought of how much a painter would cost.
That's how 99% of the buyers think. So does it make more sense for you to paint the 3 bedrooms yourself, or have the buyers deduct another $1,000 from your asking price?
Why do you say $1,000? Why wouldn't you say 500?
Think about it. Have you ever watched anyone buy a house and be realistic about the actual fix-up or repair amount?
Well, no, probably not.
Of course not. When buyers go through the property, aren't they typically looking for excuses to reduce the price they want to offer on the property? Doesn't it make more sense to eliminate those excuses up front?
Sure does.
Good. Let's walk through your home and look at it through the eyes of a buyer and determine what we need to do to get you the most money, okay?
Okay. So interestingly enough, it's 3 o'clock on the nose. Either I'm a really good instructor, or we got really lucky to finish it in 2 hours. I want to just kind of go around the table and tell me what are your ahas or things that you are going to remember.
Well,
And I can't see.
sorry, I'm going to remember how important it is to be prepared for the listing appointment, to have that script in place and have the market information and think of the logic of the prospective seller and anticipate what they might bring up in the conversation in order to let them know how important it is to list with me as the agent and why it's important to list with me as the agent. Preparation is key.
I think I would have known that from the very first statement you gave me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Anybody else?
I agree with Denise about the preparation. And I think the workbook and the scripts gives us exactly what to do, what to bring, what to practice in order to be fully prepared.
You're absolutely right. There's one script that they didn't include that I love, and it goes kind of like the following. It says, have you ever seen a beauty contest? And they'll say yes. How many winners are there? They'll say one, exactly. And say, so we're in a beauty contest. There's only one winner tomorrow, and we want it to be your house. We have to be priced better. We have to show better. We have to be better presented than every other house to be the winner. We don't get any money for being in second place. So what do we need to do to be the winner of this beauty contest? That's a very short, simple script, but it makes sense. Who else? Who's next?
I agree with Denise as well. And also with having the market data down like to a T, knowing the market really well, especially the changes in the local landscape is great information to know. And that ties in, with being prepared. So, yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Elsie?
Yeah, preparation and educating the seller about things that they might have lack of knowledge or what's going on and what's the best techniques, and being convincing and making them feel that you care for their property as much as they care for their own property, because when they win, you win as well.
That's huge. Absolutely. My mom, when she was in the business, she would actually fall in love with the property, and she would fall in love with the price that the seller wanted, and it made it much more difficult. But I agree, you need to care about the property as much as the seller. Just don't fall in love with it like the seller does. Who's next? William?
Yeah, I mean, not to be redundant, but certainly, educating myself, and at least to the point where I can make myself seem educated, to the seller, make them feel comfortable that I know exactly what I'm talking about, whether that's completely accurate or not. I also kind of like the point about affirmations, just kind of how to deal with people in a way from a sales perspective, which I didn't get a chance to pick your brain on. Was kind of hoping I could get your opinion on each one of the answers to those scenarios, what you thought was best or whatnot. And so, yeah, just some sales techniques, I guess, I walked away with, or I'm going to walk away with. Yeah.
I'm on my phone, but I'll give you my contact information after this. Gina, I don't think
that would be great. Yeah. Yeah, you said we would have a chance to see your entire listing package.
Yep. And I'm gonna send it to Elaine, and so she'll have it. Gina.
Hi. So what did I get out of this great this great Zoom? Well, I really liked your listing presentation for sure. That was really cool. And it taught me to I'm not in this on my own, that I do have a great coordinator that's going to coordinate the contracts in our system. You know, and we have all kinds of help. So I'm going to include those in my listing presentation. You gave me a lot of good ideas.
Good, awesome.
I've been working on that for the last 2 months or whatever, since February, kind of figure out how I'm going to do this presentation.
It's absolutely. And you've got a ton of support in your
We have a
office.
team. We're all a big team, you know.
You are one
What
big
I
team.
found is everybody is just so nice and gracious and wants to, not everybody, but most everybody wants to help you
They do.
succeed and be successful.
And
Because if
don't be
I'm
afraid to
successful, then Keller Williams is successful. We're all successful.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask.
I'm not at all. Thank you.
I can tell. Anybody else?
Can I say something that is a little bit negative that I got also?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, but yeah, it just in those texts that we read, many times it comes out so strong at certain points when you say, you know, I'm the bulldog, I know better than anybody else. And that for me, it's a turnoff, you know, because nobody knows, you know, you cannot be so informed that you know everybody else what they know, so you can place yourself on top of everybody else.
You can rephrase it. You don't have to use those words.
Yeah, it's nice to say that you know the market and you can do this happen, but you know, I am reluctant to use, you know, I'm the best, you know, if you use me, you're not gonna get
Elsie,
anything.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I don't want to put anybody down, but
Yeah.
there's so many scripts out there. Find a script that you like for every scenario and own it. We
Yeah,
don't want you,
for
because
sure.
you'll be uncomfortable doing something you don't like doing. So don't do that. But
Yeah.
there's so many scripts out there. There's actually at least 2 scripts for every scenario in there. And there's more. This is just, we only had a limited amount of time, but
Yeah.
there's so many out there. Find one that works for you and then use that.
Mhm. Okay.
I'm gonna cut off, but I will send Elaine
Thank
my
you.
listing presentation, my contact information. I want to thank you all for your time and your interest and effort to be better. I'm proud of you all. And anytime you ever have any questions, just don't hesitate. If you're ever in Carmel, let me know.
Right on. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.